For those of you that have seen some past shows, I think you'll know I'm very passionate about school board elections. When we talk about the political system being dysfunctional and being polarized, it seems to me the last place you want dysfunction, the last place you want polarization is on the local school boards. Let's face it, if we don't get education right, if we don't educate our kids, I mean, what else can we be doing? We have a whole series of shows that we've run over the summer and in the fall. I'm not sure where this one's going to fit in, where people are constantly talking about the need to do a better job educating our kids. Most of the time that job falls to the local school board, and most of the time the local school board is elected. Today we're going to talk to Abby Smith from Ballotpedia, who's done a study to show us why, not unlike all the other races we've talked about, school board elections unfortunately are not competitive. And in my sense, if they're not competitive, maybe we're not getting the best results for our kids, and maybe we're not having the best school boards. Now I'm being overly general when I make that statement, but I do think the more competitive the school board elections, perhaps the better the result we're going to get for our local kids. So we're going to talk to Abby Smith from Ballotpedia and see why these school board races are not competitive, and maybe get her thoughts on what we can do to fix the system. Abby, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're a first-timer with us, so you're not a Ballotpedia All-Star yet, but if you do really well today, you will become a Ballotpedia All-Star. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
Does that make you nervous?
Maybe a little.
So how long have you been with Ballotpedia, and how long have you been on the school board project at Ballotpedia?
I've been with Ballotpedia for, it'll be 2 years in August, and I started with the school board's team last June.
Was that your choice, their choice, or a little bit of each?
Kind of both. I started on the research team at Ballotpedia. We were kind of helping a bunch of different projects in that, and that team kind of dissolved and got pushed into a bunch of other teams. And the school board's team was hiring at the time, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to go full time with Ballotpedia. And I've worked in schools before, so it's a passion of mine, so it was a good fit.
Oh, good. Great for you. Now, we had a couple segments on the show where we've talked about the fact that a lot of political races are not competitive, and Professor Klarner from Harvard did a study for Ballotpedia that showed that our elections are the least competitive they've been in a very long time. He didn't look at school boards, however, but you have. So what have you found in your study?
I would not say school board elections are competitive either. In the 2014 elections, we had 81.32% of incumbents win their seats for another term.
Now, in the case of a school board, it's a little different than some of these other legislators because they've drawn districts where they're going to win. So you might expect them to do better. So to have 80% in school board elections, really shows you that we're not having a lot of competition at that level either, correct?
Yes, that's true. And actually, 35.84% of incumbents actually just ran unopposed. So they didn't even really have a chance to be unseated.
Yeah, where I live here in Snowmass, Colorado, and there's a joint school board between Aspen and Snowmass, and they didn't even find enough people to even run for the board. Is that another maybe bigger problem we have nationwide?
It's definitely something that happens every year. It's not as common. I would say unopposed seats are more common than no one running at all, but it definitely happens every year.
And we've also had other people from Ballotpedia on to talk about the fact that the turnout for school board elections is abysmal.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
So other than the person running and their spouse and their cousins, who's voting in these elections?
Yeah, it really just depends. Citizens who maybe know about the elections, I think that's a big thing. They're usually not with other elections, so it's probably just a knowledge thing if people don't know what's happening. There's not a lot of information about the candidates themselves a lot of times. I know basically employees of the district are the biggest voters.
So in that case, are teachers voting in the election?
Yep, they're one of the biggest. Yeah.
Interesting. So there might be a heavy union influence in these elections.
Yeah, there could be, depending on the district.
So in your study, you found, again, over 80% are not competitive. How did you define competitive? What definition are you using?
For competitive, we basically just said if they faced a challenger at all. 81% of incumbents won their seats. So they did have competition in some of those. 35% of incumbents did not face any competition.
So your analysis was incumbent versus non-incumbent. You didn't drill down to look at a competitiveness factor then to see if they were in 5% or how close the elections were.
Yeah, not quite that far. Mostly just unopposed versus and how if they were reelected or not.
Now, we were talking before the show, in a lot of cases, school board members run at large, correct?
Yes, about a little over a third of the elections run at large, which means that all of the seats up for election in a district are on one ballot. So all of the residents in that district can vote for all of those seats at once. Two-thirds, about a little over two-thirds of school districts have by-district elections, and that means they cut up their school district into different geographic areas, and then you would vote for the specific candidates within that district.
Now, is there much of a difference in terms of incumbents winning in those two different types of election sets?
There's not too much of a difference overall. At-large elections do see a little more. About 83% of incumbents win in those elections. With by-district, it's 81, so it's not too much of a difference. But when you look at incumbents who faced competition, at-large elections, 80% of them win, the incumbents win, and then in by-district, only about 65% of incumbents win. And a lot of that has to do with the number of challengers they face. In at-large elections, there's usually a lot more challengers, about just a little shy of 5 challengers on average in an at-large election. And for by-district elections, it's about like 1.5 average. So it kind of shows that if a challenger can face an incumbent one-on-one, they will have a better chance of winning. And the challenger will have a better chance of winning.
Interesting. So when you look at school boards here, what size school, are you looking at particular size school boards or literally every school board in the country is in your data set?
It's just the top 1,000 by enrollment, so it is the larger school districts, but it is across the country. We've got districts in all but 2 states that we cover.
Is there, I don't even know this, are some school districts are appointed, correct?
Yes, there are a few. One example would be the Chicago Public Schools.
So of your 1,000, that's a minority appointed districts?
Oh yeah, definitely a minority.
And how often are school boards normally elected? Are they 2-year cycles, 4-year cycles, 6-year cycles?
I would say the most often is 4-year cycles. There's a few 3-year cycles and some 5 years. I don't think I've even seen a 2-year cycle, unless it's like a special election.
Any idea how much term limiting goes on here?
I know that the Los Angeles School District does have term limits. That's the only district I've encountered myself.
So when you talk about incumbents, were you trying to also rank in terms of how long they've been around, or you just compared to the most recent election?
Right now, we are just doing the data from 2014, but that is data we're hoping to compile. The school board team is rather new on Ballotpedia. We've only been around since about the middle of 2013, so we're just kind of compiling data right now, but that's definitely something we want to look into.
Well, they have your terrific guests. I appreciate the data. For my viewers' sake, where can they go on Ballotpedia and get more information on your topic and more information on school boards?
Sure. If you just head over to ballotpedia.org, you can search for our school board elections portal, and you can find our analysis here on that page, as well as any new analysis we have.
And if someone had a school board outside the top 1,000 and they wanted you guys to take a look at it, would you do that?
Yeah, if they got in contact with us, we would definitely do what we could.
Good.
So our time is a little limited, but yeah, we definitely try to do that.
I'd like to offer that to my viewers. Again, I gave you a homework assignment. I should give them one too, that if they want information on their schools posted on Ballotpedia, contact you. Or how would they actually make that contact?
Yeah, you could just email schoolboards@ballotpedia.org.
Perfect. Abby, you're a great guest, and now you qualify as a Ballotpedia All-Star, so I have to have you back again.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.